go. 1, 2, 3. And welcome back for another week of the Kelp Bed. Thank you guys so much for showing up and watching this drivel. And actually, huge thanks go out to Vivian, because you may have noticed that the quality of the scans have improved in the past 2 weeks. That's all down to Vivian. She found an old scanner of hers, gave it to my wife to surprise me with. So they're being scanned with a new scanner. So you're showing a little bit more depth in my random scribblings, the not so good ones. And once again, no introduction of a new character, so instead I'm gonna review another tape. Eventually, I think I'll just start doing reviews by themselves, but for now they work out great because this tape I listened to a lot this week. This is the new tape by Ola Aldous. I hope I got that name right. Now, I first came across Ola's work as an illustrator. She illustrates the zine Deft Esoterica with her partner Claude. And then I saw some of her illustrations appearing in TQ Zine, which is another great zine about experimental music. I should be reviewing those zines as well, because I don't see that on YouTube. Nobody's reviewing zines. Of course, now I'm going to get flooded with people who are upset that they're reviewing zines and I know nothing about them because I'm a bearer of limited intelligence. So anyways, back to this. I first became aware of Ola's work when she did a tape with Claude called Vol, which I believe is out on the TQ label. I'll put a link to that and this tape into the product description below. But this is Fork, her first, I believe, solo release, which uses no input mixer, Bastel modular synthesizers, which I love Bastel gear. You know, the more playful a piece of musical equipment is, the more I love using it. I don't know, there's something about the whimsical element that I really appreciate. And I talk about this just a touch during this process video, where I feel like watercolors and working with modular instruments and experimental things, they all kind of have the same feel. You have a rough idea what's going to go on, and then you let other processes take control of what's actually coming out. I believe it's a good collaboration with yourself, maybe the best way to put that. But anyways, I'm a sucker for no input mixer work. Anyways, I believe there's also bowed banjo, which I've done with an ebow on my own banjo, and also field recordings. And what I really liked about this tape was the complex tonal clusters that you'll hear. There's I don't know how to describe it. It's a very otherworldly and unsettling feeling to listen to this tape, because everything mixes so richly within it. I really enjoy it. So I would highly recommend this tape. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description below for you guys. Other than that, not too much going on. We're well into fall in New York, and it's still humid, so you get the tank top treatment today, because, yeah, not changing into a t-shirt with all the fans off. Sorry, I love you all way so much, but every so often you're gonna get the funk. Anyways, that's it. Love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and I think I've droned on enough. Take care. And here we go for another exciting episode of Idiots with Pens. And this time I decided to make a change, trying to make the line weight heavier for the thinner ones. So I actually went the B5 and B6 nibs for lettering this time. And once again, there's a lot of intricate background in two of these panels, because we're back in Steve Ditko universe. You know, you gotta rescue the owl from the abyss. And this time I decided I would, usually I use the blue pumpkin for doing a lot of outlining, but I wanted to change it up a little bit. So that's why I went with the Zebra G comic nib, which I think everybody in the world understands that nib. And speaking of accidents, you can see me screw up right during this. It's kind of that thing when you get crossfaded in your lettering. I think it's bound to happen. This is why the gods make correction fluid. But just remember, kids, not waterproof. This time I remembered my lesson from last week. Holy crap, I learned something. But I have to admit, I really like doing the Ditko-inspired backgrounds. I don't know, it's like this primitive abstraction. I don't know what to call it. Who knows? We'll just call it fun. Everything is fun. Especially since, I'm not waking up in a pool of sweat every morning. We're coming into autumn, which is always... Autumn is one of my favorite times of year. Now, most of my neighbors are West Indian, so they hate it unless we're at the height of summer. Otherwise, they're freezing, and they'll let you know. They're very vociferous about this fact. And I've got to say, I love the Rowney acrylic ink. Best find ever. This stuff is just totally bulletproof. You don't know how many times I've been told an ink is waterproof, resistant to erasing, yada yada yada, and no. And that's a horrible discovery to make once you put a ton of work into something and then the water just goes psh. Yeah. Look, I'm an abstract expressionist just by screwing up. And once again, trying out the Winsor & Newton masking fluid. It's strange because the PBO, I think, offers better coverage, but it's a little harder to work with. The Winsor & Newton, it goes down smooth, but because you don't actually see it that well as it goes down, you'll get some bleed through. But embrace the mess. Another thing I was listening to a lot this week was Arthur Russell, who was a singer-songwriter, but also made some of the best house music you've ever heard. It's totally idiosyncratic, which I think best and idiosyncratic, they kind of go hand in hand. But the album, and actually Kathleen bought me a vinyl copy of it for our anniversary, which was last week, and it's Dinosaur L was the name of his house music project, but it was kind of proto house. It was very early New York. The amazing thing about him is you can hear albums that he did that's just him with a cello and his voice, which are masterclasses in minimalism, and then he turns around and makes these amazing dance tracks, which I'm a sucker for both, so it was great. And once again, we're with the Stylefile markers here. Sorry about that. I love the tips on the Stylefiles. I mean, the white tips are the same, I think, on every marker, but the fine tips, this has more, the closest to like a controllable brush feel I've actually felt on a marker. And I'm using the pastel set. If you want your black book to stand out, staying away from like the primary sets that most manufacturers make and going for the secondary effects with the pastels, that type of thing, it can make you stand out a little bit. Of course, there's a ton of people going, duh. Why am I saying ton of people? There's not a ton of people watching this. Once again, cross-faded in the morning. My favorite thing sped up, well, there's three things. I love watching the lettering go down because that's great. I loved watching this marker bit come in, because it took a while, just randomly pick, but you want to pick colors that are not gonna fade into each other to get that effect. So I like watching this because, like I said, it reminds me of being a kid watching stop motion animation, which I still watch a lot of. What am I talking about being a kid? That's insane. But the other thing I really like watching the footage sped up is when you do wet on wet watercolors. I like watching the colors fall down the page. There's a way that you have to give up control and see what happens with the accidents that I love with watercolors. The same thing with working on the modular. It's always a sense of experimentation. You're kind of like, let me see what... I got a rough idea what's going to happen, but you're not going to control everything on a modular. You know what? I bet you there is somebody that is that much of a control freak that they do. God bless them. Don't know how you do it. Your patch notes must be amazing. And once again, with the cheap Chinese calligraphy brushes, I love these things. They're on ransom hake and cheap Chinese watercolor brushes, or calligraphy brushes, my bad. Yeah, that Mayan original blue, what a beautiful color. I'm lucky enough to have discovered more than a few beautiful colors that I'm falling in love with as this goes along. The quinadrusine gold, you know I'm screwing up that pronunciation, no surprise there. But that color that I use for Howden and the Mayan original blue, falling in love with those colors hard. Oh, that's another keeper, the neutral tint. Phew. I don't mind of a watercolor, tons. And you see me screw it up there, just pick it up with the paper towel. And here we go with the fun, the waterfall. And you can see it dropping down there. I love that. I think pretty soon here you're gonna see Sybil photobomb this as well. He goes through quick because it's sped up. I wanted to make the skies darker, showing the effect on the kelp bed with the owl being gone. So I threw some violet in there to kind of make everything more colorful. Like I said, using transparents and my transparent colors, you can layer them one on top of each other without getting a brown mess, even though I try my best to make everything a mess. Oh yeah, James Gray. There's another keeper. This whole video's full of keepers. And I think Sybil photobomb's pretty quickly coming through right around here. And there he goes. You can kind of see him and Hayward going back and forth. I call it under the bed, which I know should be the K-hole for the owl on them, but Sybil and Hayward use it as kind of their own private freeway. And I think this is why I love wet on wet, especially you see it when I'm working on these two, because you have a certain amount of control, but strange things are gonna happen that you come back in, ink it over, and I don't know, there's a depth to those accidents that I really enjoy. And I like how I had Chico sitting this time. I actually pulled down reference photos of monkeys because I want to get them in more natural poses, even though they're cartoons. I want to kind of bring out the animal in it. So that was a big point in this. I didn't want static looking characters. So hopefully this will get better as I go along. And I think we're at the end for this week. Number 6 in the bag. Number 7 is going to be a touch different, so it should be fun. Thank you all so much for watching this insane dribble. Love you. Bye.